is Professor Rene Domingo. He is the holder of the Sime Darby Chair for Manufacturing at the Asian Institute of Management since 1982. He's presently core faculty member of AIMS Master in Business Management, that's the MBM program, and program director of the Advanced Manufacturing Management course. We talk about TQM this morning. Good morning, sir.
That's right. Maybe Renee, let me start off by asking this question straight. You know, what got you interested in TQM or total quality? I understand you spent some time in Japan.
Yes, I took my master's in Japan, and when what I saw in the country was that their success was really based on quality. And that was the strategy of most of their companies, and that's the reason most of the organizations there had grown very big.
So is this quality of staff and management or quality of products?
It's total quality.
That's what total quality means.
Yes, it's not just the product. It includes the product, the process, and the people.
So you say quality is really quality of product, quality of process and quality of life.
Of life and people.
Of the people.
That's why we call it total.
You look at quality of life when you're banging away at the desk every day. Is that possible to do that? To look at the quality of your own life?
Yes. Yes, we even look at the quality of the environment in total quality management.
Take us through the steps.
Yeah, maybe could you give us some examples of firms that have been successful in this?
Well, of course, in Japan, we have seen the Sonys, the Toyotas, the Hondas.
But those are legends.
Yes.
Let's talk about, people that, they've not heard about some of these successes.
Well, in Asia, in my research, as I've written in my book, I have research on Omron, Malaysia, Toyota, Thailand, and of course in the Philippines we have Jollibee.
Now, could you tell us more about Jollibee?
Well, to me, Jollibee is an interesting case of a company that has used a quality strategy to dominate the market.
They're number one right now?
Yes, yes.
Beating McDonald's, beating Wendy's, and all
the fast foods.
Now, you did research for them, didn't you? Are you happy to tell us a little bit of the formula?
Yeah.
Well, I've studied the company, and in fact, I've talked to their people.
Yes, sir.
And what I discovered is they really look at the Filipino taste, the Filipino habits, and that's the start of TQM. You look at quality from the point of view of the customer.
And what did they find out in Jollibee?
Well, this is interesting because they found out that the Filipinos would first smell the product before tasting it.
Why? I mean, what's so different about that? I mean,
well, no, come to think of it, no, but we say, oh, amoy baby. We use those words, ang bango-bango. And then another thing, when we look at a guy, all right, no matter what age, we say, mukhang mabango. Why is it so related to our sense of smell, the way we perceive, the way we make judgments of people and things?
I think this is what you do in TQM. You really study the behavior of the consumer. Then you define what quality is.
And one of our professors, Ned Roberto, did some research, right?
He did a very interesting research on this.
And what did you find out?
Well, he said that in his study that the Filipino would bring up the hamburger to his or her nose before taking the first bite.
That's part of our culture talaga.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And Jollibee played on this.
Yes, exactly.
And how did they make sure that this customer requirement focus happens in Jollibee?
Well, it's not just in the products, as I mentioned. They refine the formula. They introduce fast service, okay, with the greetings and all of these processes, cleanliness. So it's a total approach.
Well, how can the business sector here then further use TQM to be more competitive in terms of global and the global market and the price factor?
I think we need TQM even though you're not in the export business. As you know, foreign investors are coming over and they're competing with the local companies. So even though you're not an exporter, you have to compete globally.
Here. Yes, and you compete globally in Manila.
Your competitors are global players.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have to have a quality strategy even in the country.
Because they're bringing in their expertise and how they think on that level, so we have to learn it too.
And to add to that, we're bringing in imports. And we're competing with the imports.
Yes.
No, but
high quality.
No, it's nice to hear this, but pwede rin ba ito, Rene, gamitin sa mga hindi business organization like mga NGO, government? Is total quality limited sa negosyo lang?
Not exactly, because even in government organizations, NGO, you have customers. These are your end users, these are your taxpayers, right? The people who receive your service. So we can apply the same concept. So in fact, in the US, they have what we call the NPR, National Productivity Review. This is a program of President Clinton to reinvent the federal government.
Actually, there's one in Singapore as well, the NPB, National Productivity Board.
Exactly.
It's government as well.
Exactly.
What's the equivalent in the Philippines?
Well, we have many initiatives here, but we do not have as such consolidated or institutionalized program.
So you're saying, pwede tayo hindi lang sa negosyo, pwede rin kahit sa
Pwede sa hospital.
ospital.
Paano?
Paano?
Huh?
Paano?
Well,
Show us exactly
yeah,
what to do.
well, you see, in the hospital, like in Makati Med, which I'm helping in their TCM program, we have defined the customer as the patient. No? Not only the patient, but also the bantay.
Yes, the
Yes.
family
Yeah.
that makes
Families.
bantay there.
You know,
And that's very unique in the Philippines. Huh? Oh, yung
Yeah,
bantay.
it would have to be. And we don't observe visiting hours. No? We don't, no?
Yes.
And then, come on,
Sige,
let's
sige,
continue with that.
Well, so we said, since the bantays are also customers and they are the decision makers,
What do you mean, deciding what?
they're the ones who pay for the patient.
That's true. That's
And
true.
they decide.
That's
Oh,
true.
okay.
So they need a refrigerator.
Yes,
They need an adequate bathroom. They need what else
In
do
fact,
they
they're
need?
the people who complains a lot.
Not the patient.
But
The poor yes.
we have to satisfy them too.
So how is Makati Med satisfying them? What have you proposed?
Okay.
So we look at the not just the medical side of the business, but also the hotel side of the hospital business.
Interesting. Yes. Go ahead.
So we look at the rooms, the facilities, the condition of the toilets.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're saying the design now of Makati Med assumes there will be a bantay.
Yes. Yes.
Hindi yung walang bantay. So at yung mga facilities niya, yung sistema niya caters also to the needs of the
Let me
bantay.
give you one concrete example.
okay.
So before we had this program, the nurses usually get a call, no? Calls for extra pillows. So this uses up the time of the nurses to give extra pillows.
Oh.
So after some analysis of data, we discovered that the pillows were being requested by the bantays because doon sila matutulog eh.
That makes sense. And the blankets.
So
And the blankets.
exactly. So the program we instituted.
And the toilet paper.
Exactly.
So
So convincing.
Binigyan na namin in advance.
so it's already built into the
Built in.
system.
We
Hindi
have-
mo nahihingi.
Hindi mo nahihingan because we have defined the bantay as a
Well,
customer.
Andy, if we due to shortage of time, perhaps we can read Professor Rene Domingo's book, Quality Means Survival. No? This is hot
What
off
do you
the press?
mean? So, yeah, hot off the press. And saan ba natin ginagamit sa IIM yan?
Well, we are using this in our program, which I am coordinating.
Yeah.
This is known as the Advanced Manufacturing Management course. This is for manufacturing executives
Okay.
to teach them to introduce TQM and world-class manufacturing to their organizations.
All right, we need to go now, Professor. Thank you very much
Maraming salamat,
indeed.
Rene.
What an insightful morning on Asian
you.
influence with Dean Andy Ferreria.
All right. So, well, next week we'll have Rene again. This time he will give advice on how to implement and how to do it in your firm.
How to do it. Good stuff.
All right. Good morning. Welcome back. This week we have our guest again, Professor Rene Domingo of the Asian Institute of Management. And I'm very proud to say that his book, Quality Means Survival, has been printed by Prentice Hall and published by Prentice Hall, and this is the first Filipino, first Filipino that has been published by Prentice Hall. You know, and bihira yan, pare, and you know, you are one of those that are really one of the gurus of total quality management. You know, last week, Rene, ang napag-usapan natin was why Asian firms have to compete. And why they have to compete. But you know, your examples last week, sinabi mo na Asian companies are able to beat global players. Pero di ba mahal masyado naman yun for them to do total quality as you are advising?
Hindi naman, Andy, no? In fact, if you have a total quality program, you will realize a lot of savings. Because if you do things right the first time and you cut errors and mistakes, you actually save money. there is a finding that says that the cost of poor quality is about 20% of sales.
Talaga? And saan napupunta yung 20% na yun? I mean, in what form yan?
Wasted raw material, wasted labor because of rework, and this could have been the profits of the company.
I see. So you're saying, hindi mahal mag-total quality, kahit yung maliliit na kumpanya, pwede mag-total quality.
Because yan, may mga waste din yan, may mga aksaya, no? So, they can convert all this waste into profit by doing things right the first time.
Okay, you say doing things right the first time. Ano ba mga pitfalls? What are the wrong things in your research most companies are doing?
Well, actually, one of my finding in my research is what I call anti-quality policies.
Ano yan? Maganda
Give
pakinggan yan.
example nito.
Okay.
These are the roadblocks to perfection. No?
Okay.
For instance, a very common policy, especially in purchasing, is giving the contract to the lowest bidder.
Bakit masama yan, Rene?
Kasi nga, ang nabibigyan natin ng kontrata, yung supplier na pinakamura.
So what's wrong with that? Di ba, ganyan naman ang negosyo.
Yan.
Mas mura, mas magaling.
Not necessarily, no?
Okay.
Usually, mga mura, they sacrifice quality, no? Ang tendency mag-sacrifice ng quality para lang manalo dun sa bidding. So, in the end, yung customer, yung bumili, no, will suffer, no? Higher cost in the long run.
Kasi nagtipid siya.
Nagtipid siya.
Maling pagtitipid.
Maling pagtitipid. No?
Ayun.
So, be careful about the lowest bidder. We should evaluate suppliers on all aspects, quality, delivery, and price.
Parang sinasabi mo ganito, kung yung quality pareho at yung delivery pareho, dun lang maganda
Dun
tingnan
lang, oo.
kung sino mas mura.
Yes, hindi pwedeng presyo kaagad.
Okay. Ano pa ang mga pagkakamali nakikita
Well,
mo
isa pang
ginagawa ng
pagkakamali
marami?
nakikita ko is the incentives we give to our workers, no, is based on quantity. No?
Okay.
Halimbawa, yung mga piece rate, no? Okay? So, ang tendency ng worker is to produce more and more
Rather than quality.
rather than quality because he will earn more if he produce more, but to the detriment of quality. So, in the end, everybody loses because the company loses money with this kind of behavior, no? But again, we cannot fault the worker on that because that
Kasi yun ang struktura niyang...
yung struktura ang ginawa ng management.
Ano pa mga pagkakamali nakikita mo?
Well, another common thing is a lot of companies delegate quality to specialists, to engineers, and to the workers. I think quality cannot be delegated.
Okay.
It should be led by top management.
Para sabi mo, ang quality is not the business of the quality control or the quality assurance people.
Yes,
Quality is what? Everybody's business?
Everybody's business, especially management. Kaya nga tawag natin TQM, Total Quality Management. It starts at the top. Ito nga yung sabi ni Dr. Deming, no? Yung nagturo ng quality sa mga Hapon in the 1950s. He said that 80% of quality problems is caused by management. And only 20% by workers.
Talaga? Bakit nga? Ano ba pinanggalingan yan?
Kasi ang explanation ni Dr. Deming is everybody wants to do a good job, no? Wants to do their jobs right the first time. Kaya lang, because of policies set up by management, lack of support, lack of resources, the workers make mistakes.
Balikan nga natin yung quality. You know, we've been talking quality. Ano ba talaga yung quality uli? I mean, ulitin nga natin. Ano ba yung talaga yung total quality yan?
Is actually in TQM not defined by the company. It is defined by the customer. Whatever the customer wants, yan ang quality. Kung sinabi mong magaling ako, magaling produkto natin, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin yun, no? Dapat ang customer, yung user ang magsasabi sa'yo.
So parang the final arbiter of quality is the customer.
The customer, the user, the one who pays for it.
Paano kung yung gusto ng customer ayaw mong gawin?
Then, ibang usapan na yan, no? Kung ayaw mong gawin, lilipat siya ng supplier.
Or baka hindi siya customer mo?
Hindi siya customer mo. Or, kung gusto mong kunin yung negosyo niya, you have to retool, you have to re-engineer, no?
Ayun.
To get that quality requirement of the customer.
Can we have an example dyan so that maintindihan ng mga viewers natin ano yung ibig sabihin ng quality at customer driven?
Well, ang sinasabi natin dito, no, for instance, in the sa pag-develop ng field natin, no, ito maganda example dito. Noong 1960, dalawang tayo maghihintay to get our pictures. Sa Di ba? Kung nagmamadali ka ng 1960, sasabihin sa'yo ng Photoshop, hindi pwede yan.
Okay.
Ha? We cannot accept your order because you're rushing it na 1 hour. Ngayon, tingnan mo 1990s. We can have our pictures developed in 1 hour, even less.
Okay.
So now, this industry is customer-oriented. No? They want to give the pictures faster and faster.
Para ba sinasabi mo, pag hindi ka customer-oriented, therefore hindi quality-oriented, mamamatay ka?
Yes. Just imagine if you develop your films for 1 week, wala kang negosyo. Because yung iba 30 minutes na.
So, kung ganyan, anong advice ang pwede mong ibigay ngayon sa ating mga businessmen? So, sabi mo, kahit maliit ka, dapat mag-total quality ka. So, anong mga advice ang pwede mo natin
Well,
ibigay?
ang first advice natin mabibigay is they have to be customer-oriented. They have to understand the needs and requirements of their customers.
But a lot of people say that. Alam ko yung kilala ko customer ko.
From their point of view, but they have to ask the customer, ano ba talaga gusto mo? Marami hindi gumagawa yan. They assume they know what the customer wants.
Akala nila.
Akala nila. Then they produce the wrong product.
So, how do you do that? You go and talk to the customer?
Yes, gather data, observe, kagaya example ng Jollibee natin last time, no? Pinagmasdan nila yung customer, and they develop a new and better product.
Okay, so, say,
That's one.
Know your customer.
Know your customer.
Okay, then what?
Okay, the other one is leadership, right?
Leadership. Kasi sinabi mo kanina, 80% of quality problems is because of management.
Exactly. So
Okay.
dapat ang maglilid nito is top management. They cannot delegate quality responsibility. They should show it, they should lead it.
So, parang sinasabi mo, hindi ba pwede gawin top management? I'll hire a consultant, no?
Hindi pwede.
Para installa para sa akin total quality.
The front line should be top management. The consultant is just an advisor. No?
So, ang onus is on top
Top
management.
management. Dahil nga sabi ni Dr. Deb, quality starts in the boardroom.
Okay. So, dapat tatanggapin nila.
Tatanggapin nila.
They will have commitment. And they will lead.
Lead the way.
So, any other advice that you will have to give to these people?
Well, another advice is related to this is training. No? They have to understand what quality is. Everybody in the company. And it starts with management. Right? And there is no excuse. No? I'm sure a lot of top executives are familiar with finance management, no? Marketing management. But I realize that a lot of these executives have very little knowledge on what quality management is all about.
How has AIM addressed this issue?
Well, last time I mentioned the course, no? Ito yung Advanced Manufacturing Management course that starts on August 11. This is one example of how we update executives, especially from the manufacturing sector, on world-class manufacturing.
So, ang
and
focus mo
total
nito are
quality.
the key executives in manufacturing para magbago sila ng perspektibo.
Yes. This is one way to avoid and minimize resistance. No?
I see.
Resistance to change is usually due to ignorance.
So, ito yung para sabihin mo, oy, ito ang nangyayari sa labas. Ito yung how to do it.
Exactly.
And then, ito, gawin nyo.
Exactly.
It's very interesting. So, any parting words, Rene? As you know, parang maalala ng mga tao na, okay, gusto ko mag-total quality, ito mga kailangan ko bantayan.
Well, meron akong 8 steps na binigay sa libro, no?
Okay.
Ito, number 1, have a quality mission, no? Or vision, no?
And then,
Secondly, have a quality leadership. Yan pinag-usapan natin, no?
Okay.
Management. Thirdly, align your policies, no? And systems. Have quality systems and policies. Fourthly, this is quality training, continuous training. Next, I suggest that's the time, the 4 steps, that's the time to empower your people. Then the remaining steps, which is very good, behavior will change, attitudes will change, and a quality culture will evolve and develop.
so yung 8 steps na sinasabi mo, ito yung sequential steps to achieve it.
Yes, we cannot jump, no? Kagaya ng marami dyan, they start with empowerment. No? Na wala naman leadership,
I see.
that's bound to fail.
Anyway, Rene, maraming salamat. And this is something which I think even small entrepreneurs, businessmen, pwede nang pasukan. And I'm very happy that you joined us and gave us all these tips about total quality in the organization. Thank you very much, Rene.
Thank you, Andy.